There are a lot of options when it comes to retirement planning. Would you like to know how they could fit into your retirement plan? Well, by the end of this video, you're going to gain clarity for your personal retirement plan and have action items to secure your retirement.
To learn more about securing your retirement and all the different elements you need to know, subscribe to our channel and hit the bell to be notified when we post a video every Monday. We have helped hundreds of our clients gain clarity and get on the path to a comfortable and happy retirement. Now it's your turn. Let's dive in.
Welcome, everyone, to our very first wind down of 2022. Can you believe it? 2022 wind down.
It's already here somehow.
It is.
So, Morgan,
Mhm.
you picked our very first wine for 2022. What is it?
I did. This one is called The Brickyard. It's an NC State University tribute to the Hallowed Places collection. And this is from a local vineyard in, it's called Shelton Vineyards out of Dobson, North Carolina. It's in the Yadkin Valley of North Carolina. And it's a blend of Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, and Malbec. And the label for The Brickyard was actually designed by a graphic design student from the NC State University. So they tried to incorporate as much NC State University as they could. And they did a good job. I like it.
I like it too.
It's very
really
tasty.
good.
Go Wolfpack. The Brickyard, if you've ever been on the campus or if you've heard of it on right off of Hillsborough Street by the library, it's pretty well known. That's kind of like a big open space area that's just full of bricks. And the story that NC State is just always used to be and what some would say an uglier school because there's bricks all over the place. But over the years, pretty much ever since I left back in 2010, they've done a ton of renovation and made it a really beautiful campus. But the Brickyard is still alive and thriving from what I hear.
All right. Well, good. We got the wine going. So I want to just tell everybody knows that our podcast format in 2022, we updated it, and we updated it so that we would have one show a week. So every Monday we have a show come out, and that show, the podcast can be what Merce and I call our retirement in action. It could also be an interview. And we are going to continue to do the last Monday of the month to be a wind down. But because we're only doing 4, what we talked about was this idea of the wind down. Now, we could still do an interview on the wind down, but we do still, as we've promised you, want to bring good content. So we're not just trying to do a fluff show. This is not a fluff show. This is not something to fill a day. And it's not even to say we're going to, not have fun, but we also want to make sure we carry a topic. So here's our topic for today. Our topic is, what are the different types of financial planning firms or financial institutions that can help you for retirement planning? Now, we're going to tell you about how ours is set up, but we're also going to discuss others. And I just want to set this up. This is not a commercial. This is not something to say ours is the best. I am a humongous advocate. I say it to every person that ever's coming in our doors to talk to us to be a client. I say, look, you need to be with what you feel is good. And there are different things. There's different options. So as we explain them, we're going to let you know which one of those we are. We're going to explain how we're set up, but we're also going to explain how other firms are set up. And this is very much what Merce and I do when we're talking to somebody, is they say, I don't even know. I don't know what the different options are. So I'm out here exploring. And many times people are talking maybe to 1, 2, 3, and some aggressively 5 different financial firms, trying to get the feel of the different firms that are out there. So I'm going to turn it over to you now, Merce. I'm going to ask you the question. You're talking to now everybody listening to the podcast, and they ask the question, hey, give me the lay of the land. What are the different types of things that I could expect if I were going out and I was going to interview maybe 3 or 4 or 5 different firms? What are some things I might run into, and what are the different types of places?
Yeah, so I think we can start with something that everyone would find somewhat relatable. Is you at some point you get into investing in your life, whether that's when you're younger and you set up your first account and you buy a stock, whatever that stock is, and that's a pretty easy transaction to do. You set up the account, you put money in the account, you buy the stock and watch the stock go up or down. And then your next step typically is kind of with maybe your work, and you have a 401k that you can start putting money away into. And maybe that's at a Fidelity or a TD Ameritrade or wherever the retirement plan is all set up. That's your really next big taste of how investing works. But then you get down the line a little bit and you say, hey, I might actually start needing some help with my investments and building out my financial future. And that's where these financial advisors come into play. And like Raiden said, there's a bunch of different ones out there. And it really just depends on what you're looking for and what you're trying to accomplish. I would kind of break it down into, I guess, 3 categories, and we can add as many categories as one. But I think 3 high level ones is there's an advisor out there that's there to help you really invest the money. So you say, I've done some stuff on my own, but I really would like some professional help, and I would like someone to help me manage a portfolio. So you give them some money, and they go and invest it based off of whatever they think is best in the markets and based off of a risk conversation that you may have. But that's kind of it. That's what they're really there for, is to help you take the money and grow the money, ideally over time. But if you ask them questions around maybe taxes, or if you ask them questions about your overall estate plan or something like that, they're really not there to answer those. They're really there just to be that investment manager for you. The other type of financial advisor could be someone, and this works really well for some people, doesn't work for others, is you may have a more of a mentality of, I like to do things myself, but I also like to know that I'm going in the right direction, maybe getting a second set of eyes on how you're doing things. And that's really someone that's there to create a financial plan for you, but not necessarily help you implement that plan. So you have a sit down with them, you talk, and they learn about your scenario, what your goals are, how you want to, when you want to retire and all that. And they take all that, put it together, and put together a very nice financial plan for you that you just pay them really a one-time deal. Could be $1,000, could be $5,000, just depending on the amount of work. And then they say, all right, we put this plan together. Now you, Mr. Client, you go and run with it. You go buy the asset allocation we came up with. You go get your paperwork done. You go save the way that we said that we're going to save in the plan. And so it's all back again on the client. And then my third category is one that's really going to be, in all essence, what we've tried to create here is a one-stop shop that you can do pretty much everything that you would like to do, in the sense of, in not just limited to investments, but we handle the investments. We also help with building out that plan and implementing that plan. And then also a bunch of other things that come with that. And, we're always looking and searching and seeing what is needed out there and how can we bring that into our firm. So that has grown into tax strategy, that's grown into estate planning, Medicare, long-term care, insurance options. And so we look at that, and the industry kind of looks at that as more of a holistic approach, to be able to kind of take care of as much as possible in one area. So you've got 3 categories, and Raiden or Morgan, you can add to this as well. But to summarize there, you've got 3 categories. One, you've got an advisor there that's really just there to help you invest the money, grow the money. The second is an advisor that's there to help you build the plan, but you take the plan and you go run with it. And the third is really the one that is going to kind of help you with everything, and also implementation of everything.
Yeah, I think about it this way. There's people who like to do their taxes. There's people who like to do a part of their taxes. And there's people who don't want to have anything to do with their taxes. Everybody gets that, right? I'm one of that. I'm the third category. I want to do as least as possible when it comes to I want to understand it, but I don't want to do any parts of it. I'd like to hand that off to another professional. So now Merce did a nice job of explaining that. I'm going to just tell you what we are, and clearly say it. I think Merce said it too, but I want to reiterate it. We are the comprehensive planning firm. So for the person, if a person ever comes in our office and they are what we call a do-it-yourselfer, and I do not say that in a negative way at all, but many times people come in and they're great money managers. They've been doing their own thing. They're very good at it. Been doing it for 30 years. They're fantastic at it. We sit down with that person and they go, yeah, I want to do this. I like doing this. I like spending a few hours a week reading and figuring out where I'm going to buy and all that. We tell them right up front, we're probably not the right fit, except for 2 categories. One, you're looking to build a relationship to be able to have somebody maybe be a little bit more conservative than what you are in your investment approach. Or number 2, you are trying to set up a relationship for maybe a spouse or a partner that does not want to do all that. And every time we say that, they go, that's exactly what I'm trying to do. One of those 2 things. So what I do want to do, though, is to expand a little bit. And again, I just want to preface, this is not a commercial. This is just simply to explain what we do. And then I think what this does is it allows people to go, I like that. That sounds like a good approach. That doesn't mean you're going to work with us. It means you might go out and find somebody else, but you know what questions to ask. You may say, I want to go and I want to look for a firm that looks like this. So I'm going to kind of give you some overview of how we're set up. Merce talked about this holistic approach. And we have worked really hard to do that. So we attract people who want to not worry about it. They just want everything done for them. And sometimes we get good responses. So I'm going to divert every now and then. Morgan, could you share with us maybe some of your, now Morgan, just for everybody listening, obviously is not a financial advisor. She is our director of operations. So she is in complete contact with the client. She gets to hear them and talk to them and interact with them and become friends with them. So maybe you might give us a little bit of your perspective of what it means to be a part of a comprehensive retirement planning firm and maybe some of the comments you hear from clients.
Right. I'm also not a sommelier. I mean, I don't know if I've fooled anybody into thinking that over the past couple episodes, but some of the communications we've gotten to are not just geared towards what our services are that we offer, what we do for the client. But one of my favorites is how we've developed this podcast over the past year. And, some of the feedback we've gotten is the podcasts cover a wealth of topics, many of which I probably would not have known or heard about from other sources, is what one of our clients said. So I appreciate that we offer not only great services, but we offer a resource.
Yeah. And I want to say on that particular topic, by the way, we'll just break in here and say this. If you are a listener of the podcast and you think, man, I'd love for you guys to cover this topic or that topic, please reach out to us. There's a couple ways you can do it. But the main easiest way is to go to our website, which is pomwealth.net. You can go there to the top right-hand corner. You can click on a button that you can schedule a 15-minute phone conversation. We'd love to hear your feedback. We'd love to hear you tell us, hey, this is what we'd like for you to cover more of in that particular topic. So let me give you an overview of what we have built out to be a comprehensive retirement planning firm. So we know that people are thinking about getting ready for retirement or getting close to retirement. So we believe that the thing that we have to do first is build a retirement focused financial plan. So that's the first thing we do. Once we do that, then we have a foundation. And from that foundation, we can now start to look at investments. We can start looking at an income plan. We can start looking at taxes and an estate plan. That's our core. So think about that again. You got money management or investment strategy. You got income plan. You got taxes. You got estate planning. We have basically structured that so that all of that can be done in one particular place where a person doesn't have to go to multiple locations. And we've got the resources and the other advisors that we've partnered with within that world. And so they're able to have all of those things in one place. They're not having to go all these different locations. Doesn't mean that a person doesn't come to us and already have a CPA, but if they do, they can bring that relationship in and be able to have all that looked at. So I think what would be good is at this point, Merce, if you could just give us a pretty brief description though, because I just said the foundation is a retirement focused financial plan. Maybe give us the elements of what that looks like, not the detail, but the elements of what that looks like.
Yeah, which is we put a lot of weight on the retirement financial plan because it helps us, start the conversation, gather all the information that we need to be able to start making recommendations and understand someone's scenario. But basically what we're looking at is, hey, where are you at today? What are your goals for retirement? How many years out? What have you accumulated? How much are you going to continue to accumulate while you continue to work? And then another big part of it, sometimes we get so caught up on how much have we saved. The other big part of it is what is our lifestyle going to be like in retirement, which really translates into how much are we going to spend, and can we afford to spend what we want to spend and to support that lifestyle. So that's where we start to really that picture gives us really everything we need to start having really good conversations around, is this possible? If it's not, when is it possible as far as retirement goes? Is there going to be anything left over, which translates into an estate planning type of conversation? Do we need to structure things in a certain way? As far as income, how are we going to take income? Where are we going to take it from? Which assets are we going to utilize? And then you've got the bigger conversations that everyone is very curious about is, well, if I retire at this age, when do I take Social Security? Or if I have a pension, how do I handle the survivorship question, which is, survivorship is, if something happens to me, does anything continue to go on to the surviving spouse? So it's building out that initial foundation of a retirement financial plan gives us a baseline, and then we can start to play around with it and say, what if this happens? What if that happens? And it can be for good or it can be for bad. What if there is a long-term care scenario? Are we okay? What if there is a spouse that predeceases the other? Is that surviving one going to be okay? And we take this and we roll with it, and every single year we're able to update it to reality, and then have all kinds of conversations that stem off of it, from the investment side of things. How are we going to achieve this rate of return, and how is that going to help us live happily in retirement? And then also, the fun stuff. What if we want to buy another house and really enjoy retirement? Is that even possible? So having a good foundation lets us really have some pretty meaningful conversations throughout the whole period.
So this brings me back to you, Morgan. As we think about this, we've had people comment. I know you get to hear these comments. You get to read these comments about their feelings around this. So could you share with us maybe another thought about what maybe somebody has said around this idea of kind of having it for what they're attracted to, this holistic approach?
Well, they've named it a one-stop shop. One comment that we received was Radin and Merce have established a sort of one-stop shop for all of your retirement investment needs and information regarding the same. So they're very pleased with that approach and the service that we provide in that area.
Okay, so now here's my little disclaimer, that because I said this is not, the purpose of this episode is to give you a variety of different things. So Merce broke it down in the very beginning. This is not to say that you should change if you think that, hey, I like this other approach. That's okay. Maybe you like the approach of working, but they have these things now called robo-advisors, and a robo-advisors where you go on and you just put your wishes of what your risk tolerance, all that kind of stuff is in, and a computer manages your portfolio. And you might go, I like that. We are 100% on board to say that's good for you. We are only sharing with you what we've built. And you might say, hey, that's attractive or not attractive. And that's okay. Maybe this episode's something that you go, I don't need to listen to this because I got my thing that I'm doing. We're just trying to explain what we do, because obviously this is, over 100 some odd episodes, and we'd say, hey, this is how we operate. So I just want to be clear. We're not trying to say this is what you should do. This is what we're saying. This is what we do, and it might be attractive. I do want to hit on one topic, though, that we decided consciously a few years back, and we've gotten better and better and better at it because we realized it was such a key element to retirement planning, and that's taxes. What we found is that many people were like, you know what, man, this tax situation, I am so scared of it, because even if I make a good rate of return, if I don't have something in place to deal with the taxes, I could lose a lot of it. I could diminish my returns. A lot of it could go away because of that. And so we developed a relationship with a few different CPAs. And for every one of our clients, we now provide tax strategy. We do that through those relationships. So we think it's important to understand, should I do a Roth conversion? Just so you understand, a Roth means I'm converting my money from a traditional IRA that's tax deferred, and I'm going to go ahead and pay the taxes today, and then I'm going to put it over into a position where it grows tax-free. I can get the money out tax-free. My children can get the money tax-free. It's just a really good vehicle, but it might not make sense. And so we need CPAs in order to help us to make those decisions. And we have developed those relationships. And I will tell you, we've had many, many, many of our clients love the fact that they can call a CPA, they can have a conversation, they can go through that strategy at no additional cost to them, because we've put the system together. So I believe that's huge. I'm a big person who I don't like to pay. Nobody likes to pay taxes. I've never met a person who goes, you know what I'm excited about? I'm excited that it's April 15th and I get to settle up with the tax man. Although we might have things that we understand we need to pay taxes for, nobody's really that excited about it. Okay. And so we want to pay our fair share, as some say, but we just don't want to tip the government. That's the idea behind it. At least most people don't. So, Merce, tell me this, what would you say from, you've been doing this now for this business, this type of business for the last little over 10 years. What would you say from your opinion that you like about, I guess you had an opportunity to see different structures before looking at this structure, and we've grown in this structure in the last 10 years that you and I've been together. So what would you say is probably the part of it that you think you see the most benefit to the client, maybe even to yourself?
Yeah, I have very much so enjoyed working for Peace of Mind, and really for me, a lot of it has been the relationships that we've built. I know there's a comment that we've received recently about us as peace of mind, making a client kind of feel like family. And that is the ultimate goal, is that we do work so closely. And one of the ways that we can do that is because we're not a big major firm like a Wells Fargo or Morgan Stanley. We actually do know all of our clients individually, and we're able to treat them individually. So that's a big part of it. But you are right. Over the last 10 years, if you asked me to have that Roth conversion type of conversation 8 years ago, that would have been a little bit difficult. But we saw the need for it, and we have brought on certain things that help us have that conversation, because we know that that is a big thing when it comes to taxes. So we are, let me say it this way, we are way more equipped today than we were 8 years ago to handle at pretty much any situation that comes in our door. And that just makes me feel very comfortable with all the advice that we're giving out to our clients. So this world is ever evolving, and the reason is because the investment outlook is always changing, and the tax situation, definitely everyone knows, is always changing. The economy is always changing, and if you don't roll with it, if you don't continue learning, if you don't continue adding services, then eventually you're going to get left behind. And I know that we have not done that. So the continued growth and education that we put out there, I think, is one of the biggest things that we do.
All right, we're going to bring this back to you, Morgan, for a second. Tell me, like for you, I mean, obviously you've been working with us now for quite a few years as well, and you get to see some of the different aspects. What has been your like takeaway, and maybe another comment or something that you've heard that makes you go, man, I like this approach, whether or not it's the best one for everybody. It might not be. What would you say?
Well, my background is customer service and client relations, and that's kind of what drew me to Peace of Mind, is that I get to do it on a smaller scale and really get to know who our clients are and who our friends are. And so when they do reply or they do comment that, we've grown as clients and we really value that relationship, but even more so our friendship. And that just, that gets me.
Yeah.
So I like that. And I like, when you take a phone call, like the first couple of minutes is just catching up like with everybody. So I really enjoy that about what we do, is that we really do build relationships.
All right. Well, I want to close with this. Here's what I want to close with. If you've listened all the way through this, is that you might be a person who likes a particular strategy. You like to do it yourself. Maybe you like the idea of having a financial plan and you institute it, or you like being able to turn the money over to an advisor, but you are okay doing the rest of the planning. Or maybe you are a person who likes just turning it over to somebody else, and then they just make your life simple. And then you can just go on and do what you want to do in retirement. Either one of those has its place. We are not telling you that one of those is better or worse than the other. We just wanted to share with you a little bit about our situation and what we do, as well as give you the perspective of others in a very positive approach. We hope this has at least given you some insight, especially if you're looking for an advisor. You now have a little bit of sense. Okay, hey, you know what? I get what you guys are doing, but I don't really think that's attractive. I'm going to go over here to this other place. Or, hey, you know what? That's what I've been looking for. And that's great. And that's the case, go to our website, pomwealth.net, and give us a call. We'd love to talk to you. But thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Merce. Thank you, Morgan, for spending our very first wind down with us. We'll talk to you again next Monday. We hope this video has given you some confidence and clarity as you plan for a worry-free life in retirement. But what else do you need? We have created a complimentary video course called 3 Keys to Secure Your Retirement. This video walks you through step by step what you need to do to get ready for retirement. You can also check out our podcast called Secure Your Retirement. You can subscribe below.
For more retirement tips, watch this video. Create your retirement income plan. Also, click here to subscribe to our podcast, Secure Your Retirement. If you like this video, hit the like button and be sure to subscribe and share it with your friends.